I would try to help them in whatever way I can, because I see them as being victims of culture. Now, I don't always go into all the detail that makes a person that way, but there are kids that beat up kids that don't agree with them, and so they put an end to that disagreement. Or if a person behaves differently than you do, he's kicked out of your club. But if you can't kick him out of your club or silence him, you might shoot him as an attempt to silence that person that makes it difficult. What do you think the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman is about? Silencing people that would attack our culture. That's what most assassinations are about. Silencing people that you disagree with. Are the assassins bad? I would say they're brought up with a different value system that upholds that person. If we uphold a certain person and put him in high political office and somebody shoots him, it means that they don't uphold that person, that they look at him differently than you do. Now your job is to turn him around, not kill him. But it's easier to kill him than to feed him for life in prison. It costs a lot of money to keep a high prison population. Anyway, I just wanted the first part of that. If you feel you can use anything, which I've said over again many times, if you feel you got a place for it, use it. Do you understand the origin of law? Or do you agree that scarcity is responsible for most laws? That's where I got that from the islands, where nobody cared how many coconuts you took off the tree. There were so many coconut trees that did not even concern themselves. And there's so many fish around the island. Everybody catches fish. There's never been a scarcity of fish. I'm talking about years ago on certain islands. After the Bimini experiments, there weren't that many fish. Many anomalies and freaks in fish due to radioactive material. But the shortages of fish might be due to ocean pollution. So they make laws as to how many fish you can take on one outing. You know, they do have amounts of fish you can take, but people fish at night and they put fish in the hold and they don't always claim that they've only gotten 200 fish. You understand? Because if they're dishonest, they get more money. That's why dishonesty, in some instances, are perpetuated, because they get more reward. I think it was B.F. Skinner that emphasized, and Watson and Pavlov, if you give people reward for whatever they do, they will repeat it. If I put $50,000 in the bank, if you assassinate a certain guy, I don't want to know how you do it or when you do it, as long as you get it done. So you can pick him off while he's crossing the street, and you can hit him. You know, there's different ways of killing people. Or you can pay a waiter to put this in the guy's drink. Give a waiter $1,000. Just put this in that cup of tea. It's very easy. And finally, if they find he was poisoned, where they drink the tea left, it's the waiter, and the waiter might say that that guy paid me to do it, and he's involved also. So there's so many different things you can do. But then there's they say there is no perfect crime. In every movie on crime, you're not allowed to let the criminal go free. Did you know that? When you make a movie, it must end justly. The guy has to be caught. But there are criminals that can't be caught. And there are people like the guy I described on Miami Beach, who owned a service station. And a guy drove in with a Rolls Royce. Said, my car isn't acting right. And he looked underneath it and just saw one loose wire. He says, it's a big job, it's going to take a week and a half. Because the guy had a Rolls Royce. The guy says, look, I need my car tomorrow. So I can put some special people on it, but it's going to cost you more. He said, do whatever you have to do, I need that car. He says, it was a big job, he's showing that one. He was telling me that story, the guy that owned the station, how smart he was. But he would be considered a criminal if he made that statement publicly. And there's no way to catch him. How do you catch a guy that tells your wife the carburetor needs to be re-cleaned and the valves need to be cleaned? Your wife doesn't know anything about a car. He says, do what you have to do. How much will it cost? He said, well, ordinarily it costs $600, but I'll make it $400 for you. He's still shafting you.
Hey, Jacque, did you see that? I think it was 60 Minutes, an investigative report where they took hidden cameras and they went into automotive repair places and then they filmed them secretly. Each mechanic gave a different
estimate,
a different appraisal of what was wrong.
Yeah.
A different bill for each person.
And they wouldn't even conduct the job.
When you're insured and the insurance company pays for your medical treatment, they put you through MRI, X-ray, everything they can to lap it up. So your bill is $3,000 for 1 day in the hospital. A day in the hospital is more than any hotel, you know. So are hospitals corrupt? Everything this system touches tends to be corrupt because it rewards deceptive behavior. That's why it's corrupt. If every time a person became corrupt, bingo, a light would go on and tell somebody, hey, that guy is corrupt. You know, corruption can work only if you get reinforced for it. But it's very hard for a person to be corrupt in the Navy. A guy working on an aircraft carrier, he can't sabotage airplanes easily because there's so many sailors all trained to serve a given function. If a plane crash lands, there's a group with fire extinguishers ready. If the guy is flying too low, there's a guy with a flag that tells him to come in again and circle and come in higher. Everybody on an aircraft carrier, as far as I know, is there for a given function. But in the world you live in today, it's not that way. And they don't have much corruption on an aircraft carrier. I don't say they don't have any corruption. They do have some corruption, but not as much. And any managed system like aircraft carrier or a war tank or a bomber with a flight engineer who tells the pilot or sets the airplane heading and the pilot can't do that, then there's a guy in the back of the plane, the tail gunner. Then there's a guy under the pilot, a front gunner. And if a pilot is not nice to the front gunner, you know, your life is threatened. You know what I mean? You have to be nice to everybody in that airplane. Do you understand what I mean? Your existence depends on that. But if it doesn't depend on that, you can dispense with certain people. So if we can make the world interdependent and show the extensionality of all nations, which is never done in school, I think it would be difficult to want to kill another person if you know what that means. That's what I wanted to say about law. Do you understand that? I think you can take it from there. If they don't get it, have them write us.
You got a touch of laryngitis, Jacque.
Yes, that's it. So if you like what I say and you leave here and do nothing, nothing will happen. If you talk to other people about the Venus Project, the chances are we'll have a smoother transition. It's not perfect, but just a lot better than what exists, because it can always get better.